This episode of Gather and Go is brought to you by Louisville Tourism. Picture yourself in the heart of Bourbon City, where the spirit of the South meets the rich heritage of Kentucky. From urban distilleries to one-of-a-kind attractions, this city offers a perfect blend of tradition and innovation. To plan your unforgettable group trip to Louisville, visit gotolouisville.com. All right, everybody. Our guest today is an up-and-coming tour operator who is making waves on social media. A longtime vegan and travel lover, she launched her tour company, Vegan AF, with 2 trips to Guatemala in 2023. She has since expanded to Greece, Italy, and Jordan, and will operate 17 departures in 2026. Her company has achieved more than $1 million in total revenue without spending anything on marketing or SEO. Anna McKitrick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. What an intro. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you here. And listen, it's a big intro because you have managed to accomplish a lot in a short time in tourism. Before we start talking about that, though, I'd love for you to tell our audience how you found yourself as a tour operator at like age 30, because this is not the career that you thought you were going to have, is it?
No, definitely not. So I had a pretty non-traditional background. I did not go to university. I didn't go to college. I was an actor. So when I was 18, I moved to New York. And then a short while after, I moved to LA. And I had sort of some success in that. I did a movie with Denzel Washington. I did a Netflix show with Colin Kaepernick called Colin in Black and White. The Denzel Washington movie is called The Little Things, along with a bunch of commercials. And after a while, I really started to not like it. I was really more drawn towards content creation. I think in hindsight, if content creation, the way it exists today or the way it existed in 2020, 2021, when I kind of shifted into that, I probably would have always been drawn towards that when I was growing up, or when I was in acting. It was a lot different. It was very Instagram, aesthetic. There were really no content creation personalities. So I started to get drawn towards that. And then I went to Guatemala in 2022, early 2022, and I just loved it. I had 2,000 followers at the time, not very many. And I was posting what I eat in a day. People had kind of said, you really seem to like it there. Would you ever think about doing a group trip? And I was like, that could be really fun. So I worked on it, and I was in Guatemala for a while, and then I just decided okay, let's try this. And even though I had only 2,000 followers at the time, it still sold out in about 2 months, which was really, really crazy because I didn't really think I had a following or anything like that at the time. And from there, I was totally hooked. After I did the first group trip, I was like, okay, I want to do this. I don't want to do content as much. I want this to be my thing. And I just totally fell in love with it from there. And then it grew just every year, more and more destinations, more and more trips.
Yeah. And here you are. That's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Anna, I was wondering what makes a vegan trip different from any other trip to a destination.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Definitely very common. So it's not as different theoretically as one would think. It really is like a regular group trip. We do regular activities like tours, hikes, boat day, different things like that. It's just more the food served on the trip happens to be vegan. And we probably include more meals than a typical group trip would do, like breakfast and then welcome and farewell dinner, just because I want to make sure everybody is fed, and we're probably all going to eat at the same place anyway. But I think a big misconception people have is that the food served on the trip isn't authentic, that it's this tourist food. And that's really not true at all. A lot more sort of authentic food is vegan than people think. Guatemala, for example, pepian is the national dish. It's a Mayan dish, and it is now typically served with chicken, but cows, pigs, and chickens are not native to Guatemala. So that is a relatively new addition. And we get a lot of people when we have the pepian with the chayote, which is a local gourd with the carrots, a lot of people say oh, that's how my grandma makes it. That is actually how we eat it a lot of the time. For example, in Greece, Greek Orthodox Christians, they go vegan essentially for Lent. They really minimize or minimize or eliminate their animal products during Lent. So the vegan cheese that they serve in Greece, people say like, oh, that's like this new thing for tourists, but that has been, in the works for thousands of years. This tradition has been going on since before the word vegan existed, or even before like, the United States of America existed. Even Mexico, for example, we had done one group trip to Mexico, and a big thing you need to watch out for in Mexico is lard is in a lot of the things, and it's very sneaky. It can be in tortillas, it can be in beans, but the reason that that actually is because of, I think it was called the Alhambra decree in Spain in 1492, which was essentially put forth to put pork in everything to drive Jewish people and Muslim people out of the country or force them to convert. So that is where that comes from historically. Not to say that cultures can't adopt those traditions, make them their own, or that things with these negative roots aren't necessarily like now an important part of the culture, and have been kind of like reclaimed and reformed by the culture. But more just to say, like, if you're eating vegan, that absolutely does not mean that you're not having an authentic experience. And there is a lot more to food history than one would think. And we really, really make an effort on all of our trips that you're going to be eating foods that you've never tried before, and you are going to be eating very authentic local foods.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's super
I
interesting.
I don't like the thought that some of my favorite Mexican dishes might have anti-Semitic roots. If you
Yeah,
go that far.
it's not a vibe for sure. But food politics are really interesting globally. I mean, mainly a lot of the food that we do consider like traditional food pretty much anywhere has a lot of like war and starvation and genocidal roots. So it's not necessarily just your local Mexican burrito. It's pretty much everywhere. But yeah, it's a super interesting. You get to learn about it a lot if you're kind of looking at the history of each ingredients and trying to figure out like what's like authentic, what's not authentic. And also those words are kind of like relative.
Right, for
Yeah.
sure. So, veganism, 10 years ago, it was something only a few people knew about. It's certainly growing. Compared to the overall travel market, you're still serving a niche audience.
Yes.
It's still a fraction of a fraction of, the total people that travel. I wonder if you reflect on your time as a tourism entrepreneur, do you think that having a niche audience has made your work harder, or in some ways has it made it easier to attract people, to get them to come on trips with you and to deliver travel experiences that they really appreciate?
Yeah, I love it. I don't know if it's necessarily harder to get people to begin with, but it is very easy to retain people. So we now at this point, I mean, for our fall group trips, about half of them now are going to be past travelers. We have about half the people signed up for next year's trips as well are past travelers. So we have a really, really high customer retention rate. And in many ways, it makes it very easy to kind of like scout and create the perfect trip for that person, because they're actively in my mind are repeat travelers, or in my mind I'm thinking like, oh, okay, like when I'm at a new destination, I'm like, okay, like McKinley likes pottery, and like Sue and Joel liked that too, and like I don't know if like Andrew and Joe would like this, but and they're very much actively in my mind. And it also makes it easier, I think, for people to be like a yes. Like they're not at this point really, I mean, there's other people that do vegan group trips, I'm sure, but they're not really picking between like a large array of companies. Like a lot of times they find my page and it's like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And I do think like veganism had a surge in like 2016, 2017. A lot of people were going vegan. Now the pendulum has kind of swung the other way to like a lot of people more into like keto and like carnivore diet. But in many ways, I feel like that like solidifies our demographic even more, because a lot more of them are seeing like their favorite vegan restaurants serving meat again. So I feel like it's just really great for like traveler or guest retention, because they do see like in this time that we are like very firm in our values. That is something that we genuinely care about. It's not like we're going to start serving meat as long as it's like no longer profitable.
Right.
So I think in many ways it's easier. Like I think there's just so many companies, it's hard to try to make something that's for everybody. I think you kind of do have to do something to stand out, even if it means like isolating a lot of people. We're also really open probably about our like political beliefs. So I think we isolate people even more, but it also makes it a lot easier for the people who are our target demographic to say yes. And it makes it so that like the people who are our target person come on the trips. The people who aren't our target people don't come on the trips because they're also not going to have a good time. So we also have
But
people like by isolating all those people, people also always have a really good time. They always want to come on another trips because it's like the perfect trip for them.
Yeah. So you haven't spent a dollar on traditional marketing,
Yeah.
SEO, some of the things that people say, oh, you have to do this or you won't have a successful company. So if you're not attracting new business through those traditional means, how are you finding those new customers, or are they literally just finding you based on the strength of your organic content?
So we find everybody through Instagram and TikTok. We have had some people come through word of mouth, but that was also difficult because up until recently, we didn't even have a website. So yeah, everything has been through Instagram and TikTok. I know a lot of people say like and I'm not opposed to it at all. Like I'm sure we'll run ads at some point. I'm sure it's something we'll spend money on, especially as we grow. But I think a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people say like, oh, the algorithm's against me, all these things. Like these apps, like their job, their algorithm's job is to suck your time. Like they want people to like your content. Like that's what they're designed to do, is keep you like hooked on the app. They want to find content that you will engage with and like put it in front of you. So if you're a business owner, like that there's like I don't know, hundreds, thousands, I don't fully know how it works, of algorithms like trying their best to push your content in front of your target audience, in front of people who will engage with it. So I don't necessarily understand even how, like, I don't, and again, I haven't run ads or anything like that, but I do feel like if your organic strategy isn't effective, unless you want to like burn money, throw it in the toilet, like, I don't really understand the point of paid marketing, because you have this app that's specifically designed to put your content in front of people who will like it. So if those people are already not engaging, liking, buying from it, converting from it, I don't really see the point in pushing that out towards more people. I feel like ads are really more something you should do once you feel like your organic marketing strategy is doing great. Like it's definitely not just a substitute for that organic strategy. And even like we just started a new page and for like the actual vegan AF, because it all used to be run off my account and I think by animals. And we haven't had any crazy viral videos. Like we've just posted 4 or 5 times a week. Everything gets like between a couple hundred to maybe a couple thousand, like almost close to 10,000 views. And in a month, just from posting consistently on a brand new account, we've got like 57,000 views. That's a lot of people, especially considering they're your target demographic. And if you have the option to do that for free, like why not? I feel like that should definitely be first step for sure.
Yeah, so you mentioned posting consistently. I was wondering if you had any other advice for creating an organic social strategy
Mhm.
that's going to build your audience and boost sales.
Yeah. Um, so definitely posting period, and having an account is really important, especially if you do a tour operator. Like even the average person on Instagram, like they won't post for a year and then they want to post their vacation. So if you do vacations, like they want to tag you. Like most people in America have about 1,000 followers on Instagram, and those are like their friends. Those are people that they genuinely talk to. And people are also more likely to buy from, not buy, but like be influenced marketing wise by one of their actual peers than a real influencer. Like if 3 of my friends went on a group trip with the same person, they all posted about it, I would be like, who is this person? So even just giving them something to click on and go to the next step, not letting it die there, not letting them forget. So definitely step one is have an account, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't even have. Second thing is definitely posting on there consistently. Like, I definitely feel like if I click on a page and they haven't posted in a year, I'm like, oh, is this still going on? Like, have they closed? Like, I don't know. Um, and then posting things like if you're like, well, I don't know what to post, just posting things that I would say like like think about your target audience, like your target person, like someone they would like. So if you do like food focused trips, like what we eat in a day on a trip to Italy, on a trip to France or something, like iconic moments from a trip to France, like whether it's like wine focused, food focused, adventure focused, like bike with us from I don't really bike wherever people bike to on these trips, but those types of things like repeatedly, and you don't need to invent the wheel. Like let's say if you do a what I eat in a day or a highlights, like you can do that again, like what I eat in a day on a different day, like things we learned on a tour and this and this. Like you can, I mean, we kind of like repeat the same content all the time. Like I've done a what I eat in a day in Greece. I don't even know how many times at this point. So, and like that gives you something to post consistently, like get in front of people. The other thing is really to, I know it's kind of counterintuitive because I'm all about like have a social media, but do be funneling people to an email list or something that's off the apps. We do not know what could happen to these apps. I think they're an amazing tool. They're an amazing free tool, but definitely make sure to funnel them. Also, even if they're like taking a social media break, like no one, I don't know anybody who takes like an email break, like you want to make sure that they're getting it from all sides. Yeah, those are probably the main things is like have one, have stuff on it, like post consistently. And then if you're not sure what to post, post things like what do people like about your trips? Like share about that. It can be a video, it can be a carousel post, it can be photos. And don't be focused on as much followers as conversion and like quality of content. Because again, I sold out my first group trip with less than 2,000 followers. I know people with 20,000 followers that can't sell a trip. Like it's really not about that. My engagement when I'm selling group trips drops like heavily because people don't want to be sold to. So the people that are out, but the 3,000 people that are watching them are like they're going to sign up, and that's a lot. So don't get caught in vanity metrics. Don't get caught in like I hate it. Like, oh my God, the algorithm's not on my side. Like, unless you're really posting like something insane that shouldn't be on there, like you're not gonna be the algorithm wants you to create content for them for free because they don't have to pay you to keep people on their app so that they can run ads and monetize. That's what they want. So
Right.
those things.
Yeah. So can you, I mean, obviously budget is a huge, huge factor to go with organic social media marketing, but can you tell me if there's any other benefit to that social media marketing that's free versus like paid ads?
Yeah, I think trust, like I think it feels more organic. People don't like to, particularly maybe younger people, like I guess it depends what your target demographic is for the group trip, but I feel like younger people really don't like to be marketed to as much. So I think organic strategy feels more organic. It's also a lot more fun. I feel like when you have an ad, you pick these specific things, then you run an ad. So there's like a lot more creativity to it. There's a lot more actual ongoing connection. You get to kind of reach them on a more consistent basis, not just like when you're spending ads. Um, and like you kind of get to keep them more in your community as opposed to just like being a passerby. I think, I don't know to say that like one is necessarily more effective than the other, but I definitely think I think you can also see in real time how your content is performing. But I'm not fully sure. I've never really run ads in this capacity, so like I don't know, but I think more my thing isn't necessarily against ads. It's more I really think your organic strategy should be as good as possible before you start doing paid boosting. It's not a replacement for having a good organic marketing strategy. Unfortunately, because it can take a lot of time. It is work. Like it is learning a new skill, of course, but I think it's really important.
Yeah, everything you're saying dovetails with what I hear from other creators,
Yeah.
which is that the paid advertising can work, but you can waste a lot of money
Yeah.
at the start before you've really got your approach dialed in. And to make it work, you've got to have a significant amount of cash. I mean, $500 probably not going to be enough unless you already know exactly what you're doing with that. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's really helpful. So you've been at this for a few years. You're doing 17 trips next year, which is a ton.
Yeah.
You're kind of in this transitional space. You started as a influencer, solopreneur. You're running a lot of trips. You got to start thinking more like a CEO. You're not going to be on every trip next year, you've told me. So tell me how you're navigating that transition, even just mentally, and figuring out, how do I work as a CEO and not just a trip leader? What do I delegate? Who do I hire? How do I spend money, that's going to make me money instead of it just cutting out some of my bottom line?
Yeah. Great question. Like easier said than done. I mean,
Right.
the first hires, of course, were the trip leaders because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go on every trip. The trips are a lot for sure, especially flying. Like you fly, you have to go there a couple days earlier. But now I'm like really having FOMO. Especially when I see people from past trips signing up for like next year's trips, and I'm like, not without me. Like, I want to go. Then those were really hard to find because they had to be local to the country. They had to speak the local language fluently. They had to speak English perfectly. They had to be vegan, and they had to be a good trip leader. So that was very niche. We had to like dig in Facebook groups. We had to like join local WhatsApp groups, like dig in Facebook groups, post it everywhere. It took a while. And of course, we kind of had to end up hiring people like sight unseen. Like they do 2 trial trips with us, but it's not, of course, like having somebody come on a group trip and paying them like costs a lot of money. So we obviously really wanted to find the right people. Like lucky, everybody that I've trained so far has been amazing and great. And so many ways it's like, oh my gosh, this is like perfect for me. Like um, hiring admin has been more difficult. I feel like travel industry, particularly group travel, is really niche. There's so much that goes into the operations of that. And I like you really need kind of somebody who's like worked in travel or has experience in travel because there's like currency conversions that go into the budget. There's a big customer flow that goes on. I would probably say if I was, because I've hired some people for admin stuff and it didn't really work out. I would probably, especially if you're like a solopreneur, you're not hiring somebody full time and you're like a new person at hiring, I would probably factor in and like be open about a trial period. And I think also, and maybe this is just me or like my experience, but I think it was difficult because I was also trying to hire for a job that like I can't like I guess my mentality when hiring an operations person was kind of like, well, be the one like doing the system so like they can come up with the system because we had systems that worked for 5 trips a year. We did not have systems that worked for like 20 trips a year. So I was kind of like, well, we can kind of co-create that system, but that didn't work. I think if I could go back or what I'm doing now is essentially I reached out to like somebody who owns another travel company and was that does like 40 plus trips a year and basically was like, can I pay you to help me create like an operations system that is designed for me specifically? And then from there, kind of like training somebody in that. I think in the future, I would not hire like an ongoing employee for a job that I can't do myself and know exactly how to do. I think I would either, if I didn't know how to do it, hire somebody for like a specific project based thing or to teach me how to do something. And then the only people I would hire on an ongoing basis would be like, this is how we do it. And then definitely factoring in like a known trial period, like clear expectations of like, this means it's going well. This means it's not going well. And I want it to be going like this by this time and communicate that. I think those were probably my biggest mistakes. And also, I think everybody should have a lawyer and have them look over things before you send them to people, before you sign it. Even if you're getting like a template from a lawyer or something that's like sold, they're still not your lawyer. They're still not going to have like your best interests in mind per se. So it doesn't need to be somebody on staff, but I do definitely think you should have somebody that can look over stuff like that. Not that anything crazy bad has happened, but I think there's a lot of legality that goes into the travel business. There's a lot that unfortunately can go south. So you, of course, I mean, that emergency plans and things like that and like group safety is a whole other thing. Like we have a lot of things in place for that. But I do think having a lawyer is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, put yourself in the shoes of a content creator who maybe has that 5,000, 10,000 follower threshold. They get some traction with their posts, and they have heard other creators saying, "Hey, I'm making some money on group trips." And they're thinking, "Well, should I try this?" Uh, do you have any advice for them? Like, here's what you need to know, to succeed. Or if you don't like doing this kind of work, don't lead a group trip. Or, it's not going to work unless you have this kind of metric. How would you encourage a person similar to you with their own concept?
Yes. So I would say I think group trips are amazing. I would do it 1,000 times over. One of the best decisions I've ever made, worth like everything. I think maybe this is just my experience, but I feel like if you're in it for the money, you probably should not do it. It's
Mm,
probably not a get rich quick scheme. It's probably a lot more work than you think it is if you're doing it correctly and if you're doing it like the right way and if you're in it for the long haul. I think a lot of creators, what they end up doing is they work with a company like Trova or Kontiki, basically any type of like larger company that uses influencers to sell their trips. That company takes one of their copy paste itineraries that they have somewhere else, does a markup or gives an influencer percentage, and they do that. I feel like that's just not, I mean, partially like not even like ethically and then sales point. I'm like, how I don't know that I would be able to sell something that I hadn't done, I hadn't designed, I didn't feel super passionate about. And I do feel like people can feel that. A lot of times they haven't even like been to the country. So they're like, I'm like, why? I would not want to take people to like Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, if I had never been, if I didn't even know if I liked it yet or not. And I don't know if I would necessarily even feel comfortable like charging me to take them to a place that like I can't help them in. Like I don't have any recommendations because I've never been here either. I'm just going on a trip. So I'm kind of against like that. I feel like if they let you have a hand in designing the itinerary and you can like scout it, that's fine. But assuming you're really passionate about it, like you really care about it, you really want to do it, you want to design an itinerary, you're going to have a hand in it in some way. Um, Also disclaimer, like do whatever you want, like I don't care. But I think if you're like, yes, I want to do it, and I'll kind of go through like advice and some mistakes. I think a big mistake people make is not having any type of launch. They're like, hey guys, I'm doing a group trip. Here's the link. Sign up if you want. Like, no lead in, no nothing, like, no launch whatsoever. I think it doesn't, I've never seen it work well. And even if I've launched like that, like, it doesn't work well, despite the fact that like I have an audience that's actively interested in group trips. Like, I would say like shift your content to that place beforehand. Even before that, especially if you've never done a group trip before, I would start talking to your audience and saying like, or your community and saying, would you guys want to go on a group trip? Would you guys prefer to go here or here? Would you guys want to do more walking? Like, would you guys want to do more active? I mean, definitely do something that's like more niche to what you do. Like if your fitness, like hiking, yoga, like if you do food, like food focused or whatever it is, like sometimes people also just do like completely a lot of times people just do like a vacation that they want to go on, like nothing to do with the content they post about. Sometimes they post about budget and then they launch like a luxury trip and everybody's like, I followed you for budget X and now it's like a $5,000 trip. I don't know. So launch period is really important. Like I would say like at least lead people in, like ask questions. Like I feel like especially on stories, like make it feel like a group chat. Like where should we go? What should we do? What do you think? I'd love to do this like with you guys, like join the email list. And then definitely a week or two before shift like all of your content to that thing. Like, what are we doing? Why are we going? Like people are like tapping through this like on the toilet, like tap, tap, tap. Like you need to be posting like every single day about this. Like, what are we eating? What are we doing? Like thinking about their questions in advance before launching. Launch strategy is probably the number one error I see. And then really just like not, and aside from like kind of just like a bad product that's like not particularly niche to them whatsoever, not something they're like interested in, just like a vacation they want to go on. Um, And
I think you just gave us the episode title, Tapping Through This on the Toilet.
tapping through this on the toilet. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, those are all such good insights. Rachel, you got one more burning question you want to ask before we let Anna get on to other things?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, traveling as a vegan has always been, the worry is that the experiences that you're going to go through aren't necessarily going to involve the locals. So can you tell me how you curate experiences involving those locals and the cultures that might not always come across as vegan friendly, like, having dinner in a local family's home?
Yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of that. I think we do that on almost every trip. You'd be surprised how many people are actually really excited to do a vegan meal. A lot of people also like they have a lot of tourists that just really don't care about the local community, the environment. So a lot of people are just really excited also to have travelers that are more conscious and they're excited to do a vegan meal. A lot of them also, you'd be surprised how many locals are really open to having you in their home. We are doing this one tour at a farm, and we actually just asked her, like, can we pay you extra and you can like make us lunch at your house? And she was like, oh my God, absolutely. That's so fun. Even people who don't typically do tours are open to it. Even people who maybe sometimes like do tours, like sometimes they do the same tour every day and they're really like excited to switch it up a little bit or like to be asked about something different. A lot of times also we really ask our vendors. Sometimes they have a friend who's like kind of wanting to like get in the tourism industry, wanting to like do more things like that. In Jordan, we just asked our trip leader if they know anybody who could do a food tour. And she was like, oh my gosh, my friend wanted to do vegan food tours, but she thought she didn't know if there was a market for it. So like I'll text her right now. We also do scout and meet everybody in person. So I feel like when we fly across the world just to buy them lunch, that also goes a long way. And they're a lot more likely to recommend us to their friends. We also like to ask, like, is there anything, even if we're doing like a regular tour, we always ask, like, is there anything you want to do that or that would be exciting to you or that you recommend that we do or something like maybe a little off the beaten path or like do you have any friend, and they're like, oh yeah, like half the time we get an email like this long of 10 different options. So it's a lot less difficult I think than you'd think, and a lot of people are very very excited to have a group of vegans in their home.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, Anna, where can people find you, follow you, and learn about a trip and maybe even sign up to come along?
Yeah, so we are vegan AF. My personal Instagram is anything but animals, like anything but animals, but just with my name, ANNA. And then our company is Vegan AF Travel. It's just Vegan AF Travel on Instagram, Vegan AF Travel on TikTok, and then veganaftravel.com.
Excellent. Well, before we let you go, we have some questions we ask everybody, and these are just for fun.
Ah,
So you can shoot from the hip, no pressure. And I'll let Rachel start first.
yeah.
So when you book travel, are you a window seat girl or an aisle girl?
I am window seat less than 6 hours, more than 6 hours aisle.
There's got to be a reasoning behind that. So can you unpack that?
I think like if I have to get up to go to the bathroom once, I don't feel bad. If I have to get up multiple times, I'm like, okay, I just because I do like to drink water and whatever. So if I get up once, it's fine, which is 6 hours, but more than six, I'll probably have to get up more than once, and I do not want to be stuck there.
Yeah, I'm impressed you can go 6 hours with only one donkey. that could be challenging.
Yeah.
So what's one thing in your carry-on that you wouldn't travel without?
I really like turkey tail. Those are like they're basically like immunity boosters. It's like mushroom. Not an ad, not a sponsorship. I buy it from a random brand every time, but I definitely am prone to like the Europe cough and like travelers like just like low immune system. So if I don't take it, I like will get sick.
Yeah, smart.
And now my first aid kit since I've been running group trips and seen everything. So now we have a full pharmacy actually on me at all times.
Yeah, I feel that for sure.
So if you had a free airline pass in a week with nothing else to do, where are you going?
Probably Greece. Every time I go to Greece, I'm like, I need to see more of Greece.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful. Everywhere I go is so different. There's like not enough time that can be spent on the islands. Like perfect mix of like history, beach, culture, cats, vegan food. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. So last question. What is one thing you have seen or done on the road that you wish you could go back and experience again with somebody you love?
Probably Lake Atitlan. I think that is like the most beautiful lake. It is such a unique and fascinating part of the world. I think it's also really eye-opening because despite like a lot of colonialism and genocide, that part of the world has remained pretty intact, like indigenous wise, and a lot of those practices are still alive. And you can really see how much like just how gorgeous the lake is. Like how much history there is, and there's so many like traditional clothing, traditional food making, traditional chocolate making, and I feel like it's just a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you really, really love travel.
Yes.
And that's what we love to have in the travel industry. We're excited to have young entrepreneurs like you in our community, and can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure to be here.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this interview. I want to let you know that conversations like this are just part of what you will hear if you tune into a full episode of the Gather and Go podcast. When you listen, you'll get travel news you may not hear anywhere else, along with some really helpful road tips, some smart analysis, and maybe even a hot take from me about issues that are impacting travel right now. Now, you can hear this full episode along with many others by searching for Gather and Go in your favorite podcast player, or you can click on the link right below this video or one of the videos right here to my side. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.